a new energy plan in the state of Connecticut.
That's right. The governor has just unveiled his new energy plan. He joins us here live this morning.
Great to be here.
Thank you for waking
Thanks
up
for
early.
Up.
I know that's not always easy to do.
No, I'm happy to be here.
Now, your energy plan, the goal is to convert 300,000 households by 2020 to natural gas. Natural gas can cut household energy bills in half. But your plan is very expensive. The budget is about $2 billion, the price tag on it. Is that cost going to be passed on to the everyday person?
Well, it's going to be passed on ultimately to the people who hook up. But what we're talking about is extending the window to pay for that from 15 years to 25 years, accessing private sector money, not public, not our money, but really inviting capital into the marketplace because we're extending the window and taking advantage of these very low interest rates that are effective right now. And right now, natural gas is a third of the price.
Well, yeah, which is one of the things that is a big selling point here. One of the things that you've been talking about is the fact that you've got business and labor happy with this, trying to get bipartisan support, Republican and Democrats. But what about the people in these neighborhoods? You've been here in Connecticut. You know when people start talking about putting pipelines in, you get opposition. How do you get everyone on board, get them on board?
But we have about 200,000 people who are within reach of a pipeline right now. And the point is what we've got to help people do is pay for the hookup to their house and the conversion of their boiler or their hot water heater. That's about an $8,000 cost. If we can spread that over, say, 7 or 8 years of bills, so it's just a slight additional charge representing only a fraction of the savings over oil, then they're going to do it. So you're not going to hear that complaint. What you're going to hear is, hey, sign me up.
Yeah, it's not new pipeline, it's pipeline that's existing.
Most of it is. Yeah. Most of it would be new, existing. But new pipeline would be built to places like hospitals, factories, school clusters, so that municipalities, hospitals, and other organizations, including manufacturing, can lower their costs. Quite frankly, that will allow us to create jobs as well.
So you're saying the initial cost is up front, and then ultimately savings will be had later.
It's up front, but it's spread out over a period of time. That's what this plan calls for, and it calls for a much larger window in which those repayments can take place.
All right, Governor Dannel Malloy, stick around. We're going to talk education coming up in about half an hour.
Great.
All right, thanks for being here.
Headlines on the 8th coming up next.
Well, welcome back. Governor Malloy joins us yet again this hour, this time to talk about your education reform plan and how that's going.
And today, a couple of visits to schools both here in New Haven and in Bridgeport. These are schools that are kind of models for the turnaround that education reform is designed to have, both taking different approaches. We're just a few months into the school year. Is it enough time to see if things are moving in the right direction?
I think so. That's why I'm going out. Obviously, the high school in the community, which is the school I'll be visiting in New Haven, is a different kind of way to run a school. The union is taking the lead. So we're saying, hey, they want to be part of this. Here we go. Let's work together on a turnaround school. And down in Bridgeport, it's a different model, Curiel School. We'll be visiting there. In the coming days, I'm going to visit each of these turnaround schools. We established a kind of a new district, 30 low-performing schools that have to turn themselves around, and that'll be built out over the next few years.
I want to jump in real quick. Just you mentioned the union is kind of running the show in New Haven, and there was a lot of talk during this education reform as it was getting going about the clashing between you and the union.
Yeah, you know, change is hard. And we have systems that have existed in their current condition for a long period of time, so we knew what we were getting ourselves into. We had a long, drawn-out, tough battle, but when everything was said and done, we got the job done. And we have the tools now to turn performance around in Connecticut, to hold people responsible, and to put money in the places that need the money.
Governor Malloy, you just said hold people responsible, and because of developments last week with the Board of Regents, I have to ask you about that since you're here.
I do hold people responsible, don't I?
Well, yes, you do. I mean, you came out very quickly and said these unauthorized pay raises are inexcusable. But a lot of questions this morning about how much you knew about those pay raises and when.
No, there's not a lot of questions. That's Larry Cafaro, who's a Republican leader who's trying to make hay. He could pick up the phone and call me. And we've already said, we learned of those pay raises the same time you folks learned of them.
So
that's why I acted very swiftly. And really, we're going in a different direction.
But there are questions because you appointed the president, Robert Kennedy, to that position.
Who was the #2 candidate for the UConn system.
Do you stand by him? Even
No,
after?
no. I stand by his accomplishments. We saved $5.5 million in the system, which is going back into additional teaching positions. We have an articulated agreement for transfer of credits between all of the 12 community colleges and the 4 regionals, and a working relationship with the University of Connecticut. We opened up 3 precision manufacturing centers in less than a year at 3 of the community colleges. I stand by all of that, but because they made mistakes, it was time to go in a different direction.
And now, as you've mentioned, restoring the credibility of the organization is
nothing's more important. And that's why you have to move swiftly.
Governor Dannel Malloy, we appreciate you coming in and spending some time with us this morning.
Great to be with you.
Thanks for joining us,
Sure.
Governor. Headlines on the 8's coming up next after the break.